ça me fait plaisir aujourd'hui de signer la Déclaration des droits des électeurs qui nous invite à dire que nous avons le droit d'enregistrer des votes égaux et effectifs afin d'être représentés équitablement au Parlement sans égard à notre orientation politique ou lieu de résidence. Nous avons le droit d'être gouvernés par un Parlement élu équitablement où les sièges sont accordés à chacun des partis respectant le pourcentage qu'ils ont obtenu du vote populaire. Nous avons le droit d'être assujettis à des lois légitimes approuvées par une majorité de parlementaires élus représentant une majorité des électeurs. Ça me fait plaisir de signer cette déclaration parce que c'est le temps que nous le fassions tous et toutes. Beaucoup de gens disent that we are the best country in the world and that therefore we must have the best political system in the world. It's not a good answer. When we had create our electoral systems, Aboriginals did not have the right to vote, women did not have the right to vote, and people that didn't own property didn't have the right to vote. We have been able to make changes, and we should continue to be able to make changes. As is well known, our current system creates tremendous disproportion, but more importantly, and those are the 2 points that I will stress after agreeing with what has been said up to now, is that it defines us solely in a geographical term. I am defined as a West Ottawa voter. I cannot change the way in which I can participate in this. It worked well in the 19th century because the geographical cleavages may have been worked. But now that people move, it's impossible for them to be defined solely and have no hope of having their vote counted if they're not in the right place in Canada. So, le point qui est souvent apporté, qu'il faut faire des changements, entre autres pour mieux représenter l'ensemble de la population. On sait que la population est mal représentée, à moins qu'elle vive dans un ghetto, une appartenance où tous les votes sont comptés. C'est illégitime, lorsqu'on regarde une démocratie, de considérer les choses suivantes. À peu près 55% de la population peut voter. Le gouvernement représentera 40% peut-être du vote populaire. Ils auront 60% des sièges et éventuellement exerceront le pouvoir à 100%. C'est une elected monarchy. Et ce n'est plus approprié. Le genre de démocratie qu'on veut est une démocratie qui permet à tous et à toutes d'avoir leur vote, que leur vote soit compté et qu'il soit approprié, représenté. Le dernier point que je veux faire, c'est évidemment l'intérêt qu'il faut d'améliorer notre système pour avoir une meilleure représentation des femmes. Le seul point qui nous nuit au niveau de notre standing au niveau international sur la représentation des femmes, c'est parce qu'on a un système first past the post. Il est impossible pour nous de dépasser le 21 ou 22% de représentation des femmes, alors que les Nations unies suggèrent qu'un minimum de 30% de représentation des femmes est ce qu'il faudrait atteindre. À chaque 5 ans, lorsque nous sommes évalués, on continue de voir un désespoir de pouvoir transformer la participation des femmes au Canada. Et ce qui est inquiétant, et ce qui suggère peut-être qu'on doit reviser le système, c'est évidemment que lorsqu'on demande aux Canadiens s'ils croient en l'égalité des hommes et les femmes, au niveau international, ils sont un des premiers pays à valoriser l'égalité entre les hommes et les femmes. Leur système politique ne leur permet pas de traduire cette valeur en résultats concrets. Alors, j'invite tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes à réfléchir sur l'importance de continuer de travailler sur notre démocratie, de ne pas avoir peur du changement. C'est ce qui nous a permis de continuer à être the best country in the world. Merci.
Good morning. I'd like to join my colleagues in making 2 particular points. The first is that a consensus model of democracy, that is to say, strict PR or a system that combines first past the post with PR, the kind that most Canadians seem inclined to want, if we move towards a consensus model, is that the consensus model produces much more collaborative, cooperative attitude in the legislative bodies themselves. I've been in this parliament in recent years as well as in the not too distant past, and the acrimony is immense, as all Canadians know. The empirical reality, the testable reality, if you go to Western European parliaments, without exception on the continent, are some form of proportional representation, consensus models. Parties actually listen to each other. Debates are not ad hominem, personal abuse. They discuss issues and, by and large, come to agreements. Parties actually listen to each other. And so the sooner we get to this model, where the House of Commons actually reflects the way people vote, the sooner all our parties will, and their leaders will have the attitude that the people of Canada expect them to cooperate, to listen to each other, to get the best ideas possible and base legislation on that. The other point I would like to make is that if you look at the composition of the House and look at Canada, it is entirely dysfunctional from the point of view of national unity. The parties simply do not reflect the votes in the region. If we start from, Quebec and move west, persistently, ever since the Bloc Québécois was founded as a party, they roughly get 2/3 of the votes in the province of Quebec, with only 1/3. They get one-third of the vote, with 2/3 of the seats on a regular basis in the province of Quebec. The Federalist parties in the province of Quebec, it's the other way around. They get a very substantial majority of the votes, but they get a very small minority, as a rule, of the seats. So Quebecers are not represented in the House of Commons. More Quebecers vote for Federalist parties than for the Bloc Québécois, but the system doesn't indicate that. If we go right across the country and go to the province of Alberta with 28 seats, there are literally thousands who vote for the Liberal Party, not exactly my party, but thousands who vote for the Liberal Party and the New Democrats. But the Conservatives in the province of Alberta get 27 of 28 seats. It's totally unrepresentative. Again, if I may speak of a party that's not exactly mine, Mr. Harper. Mr. Harper's Conservatives got thousands of votes in Toronto, in Montreal, and in Vancouver, and not a single seat within the city boundaries of those three largest of Canadian cities. That means thousands of Canadians in our largest cities have been effectively disenfranchised. That means urban issues within the cabinet, when they're being discussed, aren't being discussed the way they should be, reflecting the way people voted. In this case, Conservatives, yes, in our three largest cities. So we have to have a fairer system that reflects in a democratic way how we vote, and that would work in a more consensual basis. Now, I want to just take a minute to read three key principles that are in the Declaration here of voters' rights, and be proudly amongst the three that will be the first signatures to go on them. The first three, and I will read, go as follows. We, the undersigned Canadian citizens, demand the following basic democratic rights. First, to cast an equal and effective vote and to be represented fairly in Parliament, regardless of political belief or place of residence. Second, to be governed by a fairly elected Parliament where the share of seats held by each political party closely reflects the popular vote. And third, to live under legitimate laws approved by a majority of elected parliamentarians representing a majority of voters. Our current system in Canada is a violation of these three principles, and we should change it, and change it soon.
Have the first three people sign the Declaration of Voters' Rights for the next number of months leading up to the election and after the election. We expect to be having many, many thousands of people signing this, but today we're very honored for Ed, John, and Natalie to be the first three people to sign the Declaration of Voters' Rights.